Okay, this video is going to be about trapping ground squirrels. Okay, and this is one of a series of parks that we do, and ground squirrels is a major issue here. But there's also another issue that we have to deal with out here. As you can see, this park is in the middle of a wild area. Beautiful, isn't it? We have a group of concerned citizens out here, and they're concerned about secondary poisonings when we use baits. So the city has asked us not to use any and come up with other methods to control the squirrels out here. We've been using underground fumigants, but that doesn't really work real well with ground squirrels. It's effective, but you've got to be able to see the ground squirrels going into the holes to know they're even there. So we do use that technique, but now we're going to trap these guys out of here. I had a meeting earlier with all the local ground squirrels, and I told them what was going on. I said, you guys can't be coming out here on this turf and digging up holes. I says, the city of San Diego got hit with $500,000 fine or lawsuit because one of the citizens came out here and tripped in a ground squirrel hole and ripped his knee apart, and so they lost $500,000, and that's not good, and we don't want that to happen with our system out here. There's also, if you can go on the internet and find that out, and there's dozens of others where parks have neglected this type of thing, or the service provider hasn't been filling in the holes, and you're looking at fine, lawsuits 30, 40, 50, 60,000. The $500,000 one was the biggest one I've seen so far. So earlier today I had a meeting with all the ground squirrels. I called them all over to my truck and told them what was going on, and I couldn't have them mess up the turf, and I was going to have to start trapping them out of here. They all agreed, says, yeah, go ahead, do the best you can. I also talked to them. I said, hey, what's the best kind of bait to use if you're going to attract you guys over there? And they all agreed that parrot bait was the best bait to use. You can get this in any feed store, Walmart, those types of things, and it's really cheap. But they said, look for bait that's got peanuts in it, actually red dried peppers. They said they really like that, and of course it has a regular corn and sunflower seeds and those kind of things. So I says, okay, Monday I'm going to be out here setting my trap, so get ready. And they all laughed and walked off. So right now I'm going to be pre-baiting spots where I'm going to be putting the traps. You can see along this trail, this horse trail here, got a lot of horses go through. A lady just rode a horse by here, and I'm looking for where the nesting sites are. I want to get these traps as close to the nesting sites as possible, so the squirrels don't have to look for them as hard. And I don't know if you can see that across the way. There's a big old beautiful oak, and at the base of that there's all kinds of holes, and I've seen squirrels go running through there a lot. But that canal is not controlled by the city, so I can't go over there. It's a county canal that's controlled by those guys. But there are some sites here. There's one right over here. If you just go on the other side of that fence, there's all kinds of holes, and I've seen dozens of squirrels in there. So what we're going to be doing is setting up traps to catch them. Now, there's various types of traps. There's some that you can't use. They're just too dangerous. If we're left in the open, dogs, cats, people could get in them and get trapped. You have the old have-a-heart traps, which are excellent traps, but they're single catch type situations here, and that is not going to work. We have to catch a lot at a time. So what we're using is these traps called the Squirrelinator. And I've been using these for a long time, and they work pretty good, and it's a multiple catch trap. If you look at the box and you read the advertisement, it says you can get dozens in the trap at one time. Well, you can, but you're not going to trap them in there. I mean, by baiting them and stuff. The most I've ever caught in any one of these traps is 5, and that's great. So I plan on putting 5 of these out here next week after the pre-baiting is done, and hopefully can catch 3 or 4 or 5 at a time. So this is just one option that we have out here. It's something that's service that Wheelers provides. We do have a trapping license, which is important because you're supposed to have one. But there's some rules and regulations I wanted to tell you about. One is that if you trap an animal on your property, you only have 2 options. You can actually release them back on your property, which is you know, it's kind of useless if you didn't want them on there to begin with. And the other is to dispatch them on the property, which is what we do. The reason for that is that these squirrels carry ectoparasites, and those are things like fleas, ticks, mites, and those types of things. And when they go onto properties, especially like with a flea, once the flea's had its meal, it'll drop off its host and hang out until it's devoured all that blood, and then jump on the next thing that walks by. So you've got people out here that people bring their dogs. I'm really surprised this park's usually full of people all the time. So they don't want these ectoparasites to be relocated and start a problem in another area. One of the things in this area, this is out in the Ukaipa area, is these mountains around here have the state has trapped ground squirrels out there that carry the fleas, that carry the bacteria that cause the bubonic plague. It's not, they haven't found any close, but they really don't do as extensive trapping as they should, or they need to. But there are spots up here where they have found that they're there. Okay, so it's our goal just to keep the squirrels off the grassed area to prevent the spread of those ectoparasites, and of course we're going to dispatch them once caught. So hopefully this helps you do-it-yourselfers. If you want to do this yourself, give you a little idea of what we do. One other point I need to make, being a licensed trapper, the law requires you that if you set a trap, you have to check it every 24 hours. What they don't want is for animals, whether they're squirrels or anything else, to be trapped in these things and sit there for days and die. That's not good. There's something like a 6-month vacation that the state will give you in state prison, and fines $5,000 is not unusual for this type of situation. So if you're a homeowner doing this, that's a problem. Make sure you're checking the traps every day and taking care of those animals that are in the traps. One of the other things you got to worry about is if you got any endangered species, you have to worry about that, because that's federal, and that's not good. You don't want the feds after you for something like that. And normally when people get caught doing this, it's some concerned citizen walks by, sees the trap, sees the animal in it, sees it dead, and then they start calling, and that's a problem. Best bet, if you've caught an endangered species in these areas and you've been reported, is to sell all your assets and move to a country that has no extradition treaty with the United States. They really take that seriously. So hopefully this helped you guys. So this is Dave Wheeler closing out.